And we are live and going. Well, welcome party rental people. Super excited to be talking on this topic. My name is Tariq with Event Hawk, and today I'm joined with money strategist Kevin Barbosa here. Super excited to be covering this topic, how to get funding to grow your party rental business, even if you don't have tons of cash or just, without paying tons of interest. How do you really grow your inventory, right? We know to make money, you need inventory. And IAAPA is coming up. And for those of you guys who aren't sure what IAAPA is, we'll be talking about that a little bit. But before we go any further, I want to introduce my co-host, Kevin. Kevin, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Kevin Barbosa. I've been in the bounce house industry for, about 2 seasons now. Prior to that, I used to be a cost accountant for about 5 years. I also do personal finances on the side where I help people, get a hold of their money so that they can start putting their money towards the things that truly matter to them. And, I'm excited to talk about different methods of financing your, party rental endeavors and share kind of my story of how I got started, the type of funding that I utilized. I know you've probably seen some Facebook posts in the past where I talk a lot about credit cards. So I'll be sure to talk about those as well in this.
Awesome. So Kevin, you're a party rental business owner. You've been in the industry for a couple of years. You've before that, you've done a lot with finance. So you've definitely tell us a little bit about, I guess, why should we listen to you on this topic? What's been your experience? Tell us a little bit about your experience with funding and credit cards.
So whenever I do really anything finance related, I think of like, how can I do it in a way where it can give me the most value in total? So in my experience, because of this credit score that I developed was with utilizing business credit cards and credit cards and personal credit cards in general. And through investing in this bounce house business, I was able to accumulate between either $30,000 in cash or up to $120,000 up to through travel, where I have a honeymoon coming up in November where I use it strictly just from opening 2 credit cards that I use to make purchases in this bounce house. So my experience with this is where I'll be able to teach you guys my methods and how I was able to grow my business while also growing my war chest or my cash on hand, so that once this season's over, I can grab my family and go travel free. And all the money that I made through the business, I can reinvest to grow it even more and not have to worry about spending it on vacation and all that other luxury through the credit cards.
So let me just to make sure I heard you correctly. So you're saying that the method that you're going to talk about today, you got pretty much 30 grand in cash back from the banks, like free, like that was money that you didn't have before, just because you used credit cards the way that you're going to talk about today. You got 30 grand to your pocket pretty much.
Yep, roughly. I can transfer 30 grand into my bank accounts right now if I chose. Now, I personally prefer to use it towards travel since I don't need the cash right now, but I have that I would not have if I strictly utilized cash.
Wow. So what you're saying is that you could get the 30 grand cash, or you could get 3 times that, like 100 grand worth in travel, or if you use it, the points the way that they want you to.
Yes.
Wow,
Yep.
That's awesome.
I have like 3 or 4 vacations and planned from now until next year, strictly on points.
Let's see, I'm doing math. How many inflatables is 30 grand, right? That's like 10 that's what I'm thinking in my head. 10. That's like starting a whole nother business, man. Holy moly. Well, I hope you guys are excited. I mean, if that doesn't get you guys excited, I don't know what will. Let me know in the comments if you want to learn how Kevin was able to get 30 grand. I mean, if this interests you, if we're on the right track, if this is really what you guys came here to hear about, let me know in the comments or in the chat that this is what you guys are here for. If not, then I guess not. But yeah, Adrian says, yep.
Who doesn't like free money?
Who doesn't like free money? Yeah. And
we're already spending it anyways. Might as well get money out of it.
Yeah. Awesome. I'm super excited, man. That's great. I know I've done some, but nothing to that extent. That's great. But Beth says, of course. Okay, so here, let me go ahead and share my screen. We're really going to cover 2 main topics today. So let me go ahead and share this real quick. So there's Kevin's awesome picture, inventory cash boost. We're going to talk about three things really. IAAPA, what is IAAPA? What's the benefits of going? What that's all about? And then Kevin's going to cover 4 ways to grow your inventory without tons of cash and without paying tons of interest. And then we'll have a live Q&A where you guys can ask Kevin or myself some questions. Real quick, I'm not going to spend too much time on IAAPA, but most of you guys should be familiar with IAAPA. IAAPA is the basically Candyland, like Disney World for party rental business owners. They have an outside area that looks something like this, and then an inside area. It is absolutely awesome. You go there, and there's so much to do. For me, what I love most about IAAPA is networking, meeting other business owners. For a lot of people, they go there for the sales and things like that. For me, I just love seeing everything. I know Kevin, before this we were talking, you said you love seeing the units in person before you buy them, to feel the vinyl, to see what they're like. That's definitely a plus as well. But it's really, really awesome. You'll see there's the indoor inflatables, all kinds of crazy stuff. Believe it or not, Disney World executives go to IAAPA to buy roller coasters and stuff like that. Disney World, Six Flags, all kinds of crazy stuff. It is insane. I mean, you cannot walk the whole show. It's insane. It's so much fun. It's great for kids, great for all ages. We love it. We love going. We take our kids every year. It's really, really awesome. Meeting a lot of people. This is a kid I met who watched my YouTube videos, and he's like a huge fan. He like ran his own Google ads for him and his mom through my videos. Well, it was really, really cool meeting him, and tons of others. We're doing an after party. There's a few after parties too. Ours is we're doing on Thursday the 16th. We're doing it with Jump Orange. Jump Orange is going to be giving away a free inflatable. We're going to be giving away tons of stuff as well. So if you're heading out, definitely stop by our booth. We'd love to have you stop by. Space is limited, obviously, but our booth we got an awesome location this year, in between tent and table, leisure activities, and eye candy. We're kind of surrounded. We're right in the heart of it. So if you guys would love to stop by and meet you guys in person, so definitely stop by our booth. I would love to put a face to the name there. But with that, that's really it for IAAPA. I mean, for me, if you guys have any specific questions about IAAPA, feel free to put them in the chat. But really, the biggest thing is IAAPA is the time of year where inflatable manufacturers usually have their best sales. I know Jump Orange does a sale a little bit before that, but a lot of manufacturers have their best sales at IAAPA. It's a good time to place your orders, right? Because after IAAPA, all manufacturers are going to be like booked for the next 6 months. So if you order something at IAAPA, you got to expect not to get it for 6 months. If you order something, so IAAPA is usually in November. If you order something in November, you're probably going to get it beginning of season next year. But if you wait until after IAAPA, my experience has been with most manufacturers, let's say you order something in January, right? Because you're like, oh, I'll just wait till January. You might not get it till June. That's happened to me before where I had to wait. So it's a good time to order, not only because of the sales, but because the manufacturers are going to get backed up with their orders. And that's really important. But beyond that, most importantly for me, I just love meeting other people that do what I do, right? Other party rental business owners, hearing their horror stories, right? And just networking and learning about what's worked for them, meeting them in person. It's really, really awesome. So do you have anything? I mean, you've been at IAAPA. We met at IAAPA last year, Kevin. By the way, Kevin is, you guys can't tell from this, but this man is jacked. I have to do a few push-ups right before I take a picture with him every time. The guy is absolutely like my hero there. I don't know when he has time to work out with all this stuff, but what's your anything else on IAAPA, Kevin, from your experience as somebody who's been there once?
Yeah, like you had mentioned earlier, my primary goals when going there was to get a good feel of each manufacturer before I made the purchases. And then it was also the networking. Like you said, I did meet some people there. Now that I've met more people through all the Facebook throughout the community, it'll be a much better experience in that networking side of things, because now I can put the face to the names, which I think will be great.
Sorry, that was my feedback there. Awesome. Now, do you recommend, so you brought your daughter last year, your daughter had a blast together. You recommend people bring their kids?
I do. I'm actually bringing my 6-year-old and my 4-year-old. I wish I brought a babysitter too, but just because while I was there, like there's so many games and stuff. There's like the carnival games, there's arcades, there's little roller coasters, all that stuff. Like there's different play yards and stuff that I know my younger kids would have a blast. And so I just kept thinking of that whenever I was walking between that and my Dippin' Dots runs, because there's a lot of free concessions everywhere.
Free concessions. Forgot about
Oh
that.
yeah, I was all
Right.
about those concessions, the Dippin' Dots. But I know my youngest kids will have a blast, and my oldest one throughout the years kept asking like, when we going to IAAPA, when we going to IAAPA. So pretty much I'm turning it into a yearly family trip slash business trip. But oh, it's all deductible,
There you go. It's
all
all
tax
yeah,
deductible.
great point. Well, I don't want to spend too much. I know people are here to hear about more about funding. So I wrote a whole article about IAAPA. So if you're interested in that, let me know in the comments. I'll share the link. If you're watching live, I'll put it in the chat. But let's go ahead and turn it around to you. So you promised us 4 different ways to get funding to buy inflatables if you are if you don't want to spend if you don't have a ton of cash right now, and if you don't want to pay tons of interest. So I'll turn it around to you if you want to kind of kick it off from there.
Yeah. Before I go into like my main method, which is, credit cards, because I think it is the best way in my opinion. First I start with cash in itself. I know we're talking about not having cash, but if you think about it, we're in October right now. By the time like the busy season really starts kicking in, depending on the season, at least for me, the season starts April, but it doesn't really start until May, primarily June. You have all this time to really like build your war chest and like start saving a ton of money, work extra hours, third shift, whatever you have to do, just you save up now. And then thankfully some manufacturers will still have product around. I know he was saying that if you buy things from IAAPA, you might not get it until April, but by then they've probably at least in my experience with certain manufacturers, you still can get stuff. And so by then you'll have the cash on hand to actually be able to afford all these things rather than get into debt now and have to pay all these different interests depending on, which method you take. One method that's cash, like right off the back. If I had this much time to plan, because when I started June 1st of, what was it, 2022 or something. I only had that month to like get everything going. Thankfully, I already had cash on hand, so I was able to just buy things, obviously with credit card, but I was able to buy things right then and there. But if I was thinking about this in October and I didn't have cash, I would be saving up cash. I wouldn't be rushing into things, trying to get loans and all that. I would save up cash and then start making purchases then. So that's the cash.
So let me pause there. 100%. So if you could do it, cash, if you could save up the bigger manufacturers, I know that, there've been people, you'll see those posts, right? Like I was promised this inflatable and it didn't come in time. It happens, right? It's manufacturing an inflatable is a ton of work. Like you got to give props to these manufacturers for what they're able to pull off. But to Kevin's point, if you shop their in-stock inventory, even anytime during the year, most manufacturers will have something in stock. You can get it as soon as next week. But a lot of us, we're proud, right? I don't want the in-stock. I want the in-stock one, but I want you to add this, or I want you to add a zipper. The minute you start customizing, you've just set yourself back a few weeks. So to Kevin's point, yes, you could totally get something closer to season, but you got to be willing and able and ready to get whatever they have available in stock, and they'll ship it right away and you're good to go. I've literally gotten inflatables literally in less than a week, and it was shipped and gone. So you just have to know to shop their in stock. And sometimes if you don't ask, then you won't realize. So you have to look at their in stock. So that's just kind of my point on the cash. You just have to be ready for that.
And if they have in stock thing, don't hesitate to ask like the Facebook groups, like, hey, this is available. I'm thinking about purchasing this. Does this rent well? Has anyone had experience with this type of unit? And we'll be able to put some input, because it doesn't matter how much money you have when making purchases. If you buy the wrong product, it's not going to make you money. So you have to make sure that during this process, you're doing your research, that you're going to buy the products that obviously you're not going to know exactly what's going to make you money, but have a better chance of making money, especially if you're just starting out. So that was with the cash.
I did a if you need more info on and you could definitely ask people. I made the mistake when I started of buying what my competitors had, right? Oh, he's got a wrecking ball. Oh, he's got a white. I need to get one of those, right? And then you realize like, oh man, it just sits there for various reasons. But I did a webinar before on how to figure out based on Google data, what people are looking for in your area right now. Because yes, you can get advice from people on Facebook and from others, but the best, in my opinion, the best source is the data. And Google will tell you how many people in the last 12 months searched for this product or that product. And for me, that's the most sure way, because when people do go to buy something or to rent, they're going to go to Google. So if you're interested in that information, how to do the research in your area, let me know in the comments and I'll send you that video on how to do that. So cash is the first method, Kevin. What if you don't have cash? What if it's, you're like, hey man, I want to grow this business. I have a little bit. How do I get there?
So another way is there's manufacturers that also can finance your purchase. I mean, you've probably had experience with that with like furniture purchase and stuff, where like the manufacturer itself has like some kind of financing option. I know right now Table has one where it's like 12 months no interest, or what is it, like 20 something months with a little bit of interest, maybe 36 months with a little more interest. Those are an option as well. I don't know how many other have it, but I have seen them quite often from different manufacturers. So if there's a certain manufacturer with product that you like, ask them what kind of, financing offers they have that they can help you. They do have some sort of approval process with it. I'm not sure how much they check with the credit in that sense, but it doesn't hurt to check with them and to apply through them. And that's a good option that, if I didn't have cash on hand myself, I would have explored that. My first purchases happened to be Table just because of my location. They're just the closest ones. So I would have gone to them and, tried financing through them.
All right, so number one is save up the cash, wait a little closer to season, and get in stock stuff. Number two is manufacturer financing. Now, you mentioned Table. They had a 0% interest a while back, and I spent a ton of money with them. It's a great option, but is all manufacturer financing the same? Because a lot of manufacturers have those, things on their website where it's like, oh, this inflatable is $99 a month. Is that a good option, or do you is all manufacturer financing the same, or do you got to look for certain things?
You for sure have to look for certain things, and you have to make sure the terms meet. You have to really read the terms. Like in that case with the 0%, if it says 0%, that's a good thing. But a lot of times if they say, oh, you only got to pay $99 per month or whatever, really you're just paying towards like the massive fee or something. So you gotta check the fine print to see if you're actually getting a good deal.
Okay, so definitely look at the interest rate and probably the term, right? Because it could be 0% interest for 6 months, but then the minute you go after that 6 months, they back charge you interest, right? So you got to be.
So what you want to do is, if I were to do a 12 months no interest, I would figure out how much I can realistically pay per month to be able to satisfy that 12 months. Because if you don't, oftentimes there's some sort of fee or kickback that you want to try to avoid. So you don't want to overextend your debt too much. That's the case.
Have you seen any? I've experienced this with business loans. I don't know if financing does this, but early payment penalties, where if there is a small amount of interest, where you're like, oh, that's not bad, but then you're like, oh, I paid early. Do you feel like that's something you got to look for?
That is something. That's the same with car loans as well. You can ask that up front if there's any early payment penalties. Usually with cases like the 0% interest, there shouldn't be for that sense. And even if there is, honestly, with 0% interest offers, I wouldn't want to pay it off right away anyways. With the way interest rates are right now with the savings, I would be taught, like, even if I had the cash on hand, I would toss that cash into like Capital One 360 savings, anything high yield, and get like 4.3, 4.5%, make money off of your own money at that point, and then just pay them off, once, every month, like pay enough per month to where by the 12 months you're done, is how I would go about it.
Makes sense.
So I wouldn't pay early. And then even if the interest rate's small, if the interest rate is still less than what it would be if I just left it in the savings account, I would just leave it in the savings account. Because to me, having cash on hand for, just those certain investments or opportunities that show up is more important than locking it in, than paying off the balance first, in my opinion. And from my own experience and experience from others, is like, if you can have cash on hand. Who was it? I think it was Nick, where like instead of financing a large purchase, he instead paid cash. And then when a massive competitor went out of business, he would have had the cash to buy them, but instead had spent it instead of financing it. And he kind of like kicked himself for that.
So I guess you're
So it's
saying
like
save your cash for those opportunities or moments when you can't use loans or credit. And if you have an opportunity for 0% interest, then definitely use that. Makes total sense.
yeah, while you have the zero, it's like people
yeah.
like they want to pay things off fast. And the only time that I would say pay it off fast is if it's really tying down your credit. Sure. But like if you use like with me with business credit cards where they don't affect your personal credit at all, depending on as long as it's not Capital One, I would just leave it tied up to the business credit card and then just have the cash on hand. So that's when cash is king. Other than that, I don't think so.
All right. So we talked about cash. We talked about business sorry, manufacturer financing. What's next?
The other way was actually like 5 ways. There's personal loans, either personal loans or business loans. I know you can potentially get good loans through like the SBA, pretty much through the government, depending on whatever package they have. The only thing with that is you'll have to make sure you have some, I think for most cases, you have to have some sort of collateral in case you somehow default. They have something that they can take, whether it's like a piece of your home or car or something. So you just got to be wary about that. And also interest rates can be decently high, like 10% plus, depending on your credit score. So if you don't have too good of a credit score, then I personally wouldn't explore that option. It's just my opinion, but that option is available. I know someone had asked about grants. I'm not too familiar with any grants right now. I know the SBA grants are mainly towards certain industries, but that wouldn't be ours. So I don't have experience on that. Have you heard of any grants in this industry?
Not since COVID.
Yeah, there's really no love for us
no,
in the party rental.
Well, so let me ask, so you talked about the government loan. For that, do you have to, what I struggled with, I tried to get a loan early, and I'm glad I didn't for the reasons you mentioned. But don't you have to have like 2 years of taxes or something like that to show?
Not necessarily, because it's also for if you're creating a business or building a business.
Okay.
I think they have different levels to it or something. I haven't done it myself, but from what I've seen from other experience, you should be able to get it even if it's a startup.
Makes sense. All right, so we talked about 3 things. We talked about cash, manufacturer financing, personal loans or business loans, and then what's your 4th method?
One option I just wanted to bring up that I know comes up a lot. I personally don't recommend it just because the interest rate's just super high, is like those lease options. Either lease options or even like payday loans, is like the amount of money you're paying into it by the time you actually get the the inflatable is just astronomical and just not worth it. At that point, you might as well have saved all your cash from now until then and bought something. I know people think this is supposed to be some kind of sprint to like, to some massive successful business, but that type of shortcut, in my opinion, is just not worth it. But
We need
in terms of like the last
base for all those too.
I learned after I leased on it, wasn't worth it. Yeah. And so the last method that I personally use, what I did use is business credit card. You can either use personal credit card or business credit card. Reason why I always say business credit card is the best way to do is because your personal credit does not get affected if you were to say max out that business card. So I could have like $100,000 in business credit card debt tied up, and I could still get a bank loan or a mortgage loan because they cannot see that. While if I had that tied up to my personal credit, my credit score would completely tank at that point, depending on it. So what I ended up, so my own experience is, I happen to have cash on hand, but knowing that I had cash on hand, I still went the credit card option because strictly on what I told you earlier. I had the $30,000 worth of cash or $120,000 worth of travel. Is that even if you have cash, you're still getting a ton of points through what they call sign-up bonuses. So that's where you spend a certain amount of money. In this case, I did the Amex Business Platinum card. You spend 15 grand, you get 150,000 points. In my day-to-day spending, there's no way I'm paying, and that's in 3 months. In my day-to-day spending, there was no way I was ever going to spend 15 grand in 3 months. But because I started this business and I was already going to spend the money and I had the cash in hand, I opted to, apply for that business card. So from there, I got 150,000 points, which could be valued at the 150, $1,500, or up to about $6,000 if I were to use it towards travel. And because
I want to pause there real quick. Sorry to cut you off. Kevin. So basically what Kevin said, usually when you borrow money, you borrow 15 grand, you probably got to pay back 20 grand or whatever. But the way that Kevin is doing it, you borrow 15 grand, and not only do you only have to pay back the 15 grand, they pay you an additional $1,500 on top of that, just because you did it, this route. So, I mean, this is really, and I know you guys have lots of questions, so go ahead and put them in the chat. I'll kind of ask Kevin as they come up, but you're almost getting paid. You're pretty much getting paid to borrow money from the banks. And that's why this is the method I use as well. So I just want to reiterate, like, this is, if you really got to lean into something, it's definitely this method, because this is how you get paid to grow your business. Go ahead, Kevin.
So I went with this option. I went with the platinum card because I had the cash on hand. Now, if I didn't have the cash on hand, then I would go for the cards that are 12 months, no interest. So you have the Chase Ink Business, Chase Ink Cash, Chase Ink Unlimited, the Amex Blue Business Plus, the Amex Blue Business Cash. Those cards give you 12 months, no interest, and they don't affect your personal credit if you were to max it. I happen to go with the platinum and even the gold, because to me, I was making those large purchases. I had the cash on hand. I've been wanting those cards too, and those points. So I went for those first, and then I paid them off right away because they didn't have a 12 months, no interest. But if I didn't have cash, then I for sure would have gone the Chase Ink route.
But some of them have both. They have 12 months, no interest, and they pay you back. I use those a lot as well.
Yeah. So the Chase Ink is what I recommend literally everyone, like anyone in this chat and anyone that I speak to. I always recommend the Chase Ink, especially right now, because right now, if you spend $6,000 within 3 months, you get 90,000 points.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the that's the Premier. That one's primarily a cashback card. It's a good card.
Good enough. Mine's not good enough for Kevin, guys. All right, go ahead.
It's not. It's only cash. Cash is. The problem with that card is that you can't transfer it to transfer partners. And what that means is Chase has partnered up with multiple hotels and airlines, where if I were to transfer 1,000 Chase points, it is worth 1,000 Hyatt points, for instance, Hyatt hotels. That Premier card, unfortunately, is a strictly cash card. So the offer they have is you spend 10 grand, you get $1,000 back, but you can only use it as cash. So with the Ink and stuff.
So what's the number one card you recommend here? So
Chase Ink Cash or Chase Ink Unlimited. If you want the most amount of cash back or points available, those are the best, while also utilizing 12 months, no interest. So that applies to anyone that, whether you have no cash or cash, I recommend that card. Because if you have cash, like I recommended before, just if you have, say, 10 grand, and you get approved for 10 grand, rather than paying off that 10 grand on the Chase Ink, just throw it in a high yield savings account. That way, on top of getting that $900, you're also getting $450 from the savings by the end of the year. So
how long? So this is a good question. How long do you have to be in business before you can get a business credit card?
Immediately. You don't even have to be in business to get a business credit card. You can, if you've ever sold anything in your entire life, you're a business at that point. You just apply as a sole proprietor using your social security number.
Oh, so you don't have to give them your EIN?
No.
Wow.
But what's good about that is I have Ink Cash as an EIN, as an LLC, and I also have it as a sole proprietor. So I was able to get duplicate cards because I'm using my social and I'm using my LLC. They're considered two separate businesses.
So you're telling me I could go online or walk into a bank and apply for a business credit card, even if I don't technically, even if I just started out, I haven't been just immediately, I started a business, give them the name and just sign up.
Even if you're even thinking about doing a business, you can do it. And what you do is you estimate what you plan on making. Businesses start and fail all the time. They give you the opportunity to fund your, potential business before, comes to light, but it's legal.
Nice. Do you have any tips to get approved?
So well, depending on the card, you gotta check like your credit score. I know for those cards, they recommend, I think like 680 credit score above. And you also want to make sure your credit utilization, which that's the, if no one knows, like say you have 2,000 total available credit and 1,000 of it you've already, spent on it. That's 50% credit utilization. So 1,000 spent with 2,000 in total, that's 50%. You would want to bring that down, in my opinion, below 10% before applying, even if you have good credit. Because what that does is that it'll make it more likely that they'll extend even more credit to you. So if you had a high credit utilization, you might only get the minimum from Chase, which is 3,000. While if you had a lower credit utilization, you would get even higher. Other ways to improve your chance of getting approved is prior relationship, whether you've had personal credit cards through them before, or if you don't have that, open up a bank account. I can send you a link for the business account. If you have, I know the personal account actually both of them have offers where if you leave a certain amount of money, they'll pay you. I know the Chase, I know the business checking account, I think you get $300 if you leave 2,000 in there for at least 3 months. I think 60 days or 3 months. And then the personal savings and personal checking, you need to leave a lot more, but if you left like 15 grand in there for 3 months, they'll give you $900. I think that offers there as well. So but having prior relationship with them will improve your chances. Also, not having opened 5 or more personal credit cards in the last 2 years will give you a chance. Because if you've opened more than 5 personal credit cards within the past 2 years, they'll deny you on the spot.
You said personal credit cards. What if they're business credit cards?
Depends on the business. For most businesses, it doesn't affect, but that Capital One Spark and Discover It, for some reason, they report to your personal credit, so that will affect you. And what will also affect you is if you are an authorized user to someone else's personal card and they're within the past 2 years, that'll also affect you. If you're an authorized user to a Chase card, you can call their reconciliation line and they will ignore it. And they're like, because it's like a system that'll like auto deny you. But if you call their reconciliation line, you can plead your case like, hey, I'm an authorized user of this card. I think you had asked, I don't know, did you ask about like how to improve your credit or?
Well, so yeah, so first of all, might be a silly question for some, but what's the best way to check my credit right now?
Experian.com would be the better way. I think they call the other ones Fakeo or something. Like fake, because it doesn't actually give you a real enough number. Most people recommend Experian.com. It's free. You can check out,
what about Credit Karma, the app? I have that app.
You can use that. It's not going to give as accurate of a number, but that gives you like the TransUnion and Equifax credit scores. Okay. I know for me, like if I apply to Chase looks at Experian, but it depends on where you are in the world.
Okay, so you're saying Experian is more accurate, maybe more recent than Credit Karma?
Yeah. And they have, I haven't checked it in a while. What was it? It's the government website. Free something. I would have to figure it out. But there's one where that's an official one.
So before we talk about how to improve your credit score, for those of us who may not be sure what our credit score is, or So I want to talk about like how to improve it. Is there enough time before next season, et cetera? But you talked about Chase, Capital One, and Amex. Is there a certain, so you talk about Chase Inc. Now, is that just because you have a relationship with Chase? What if I bank with Bank of America or whatever? You still recommend Chase, or what's your
always
thoughts on
Chase.
different banks? Always Chase. Why is that?
Yeah, because the sign-up bonus for one, they also have the no interest offers. Not a lot of the business cards have that. You can get a lot of no interest offers on personal cards, like they're everywhere, where you can get 12 months to even 2 years. I know Citi has some really nice ones, but again, that's when you're tying your credit.
Okay.
You know, your credit score will take a hit if you pile on debt on your personal credit.
By
So
the way,
Chase will just be
before
visible.
we just kind of going back to this is not financial advice. We got to put that disclaimer out there, right? We're not giving out financial advice, right? But this has been really, really. Let me know in the comments, by the way, what's been kind of your biggest aha moment from all this? And has it been valuable? Have you guys been learning? Let us know kind of what would you like to hear more about. But okay, so Chase kind of has been your best bet. I know some of them are easier to get applied for than others.
Amex would be my backup.
Amex. Okay.
So if I were to start today with, decent credit score, and I wanted to try to get the most amount of funding through credit card, business credit card, I would apply for Chase Inc. first, and I would also probably apply for an Amex business card. That way I give some kind of space between applications on the Chase side. Like I wouldn't just do Chase, then Chase, then Chase. I would kind of do Chase, then Amex, then Chase, then Amex.
But don't they both check the same credit score?
So the good thing about Amex is they only check it the first time. After that, they won't check it. Chase is annoying because they check it every single time.
Okay.
But Amex is super flexible with that stuff.
So let's talk about that. You said not having opened 5 or more credit cards in the past 2 years, but I know, correct me if I'm wrong, every time you apply for a credit card, that's like a hard hit. What about how many credit cards should you apply for in the last, in a period of time? Every 6 months, every how often should you apply for a credit card or try again?
So it depends on your current credit score. I went crazy, very crazy, a little too crazy early on, where I dropped 50 points. It was a lot, but it bounced back right away. So like people worry about credit inquiries, but really it's after a couple of months, it's like negligible. It's when I think the reason why I lost the 50 points is because I went 7 years without applying for anything. So once the bank saw, like I applied for like 3 cards in March, another one in April, they're like, is this guy having a midlife crisis? Like what's going on? And so that's what in my opinion, I'm convinced that's why they like dropped my credit score. But it bounced right back up and it's up there again.
Okay, so if I apply for Chase today and they give me that message, oh, we'll let you know, I don't get approved right away. Do I apply for Amex the same day? Do I wait a week?
No, you call their reconsideration line, find out why.
Okay, so
and then when they tell you why, you ask me, you tell me why, and then I'll figure out something.
So if you don't get approved right away from Chase, you call the reconciliation line.
Yeah, Google the reconciliation line and ask them. That happened to me after my like 5th Inc. Where they didn't approve me right away. That was the first time I ever didn't get approved right away. And so I called them and it was literally like a 5-second conversation and they approved me. And then the it was like a 5-second conversation, but that's not always so, because sometimes all they need is just some verbal, like, are you a person? This isn't some kind of like robot or something that's just going through because of the velocity. And so really once I just said where I live and all that, they were fine with it.
Okay, so I get a Chase credit card. They give me $3,000. I use that and I'm doing a 0% interest thing. How soon can I apply for another credit card because I want more money or I need to buy another inflatable?
So technically Chase, you can apply as soon as 30 days. So their rule is You can't apply for more than one business card per 30 days, or one business and one personal every 30 days, or two personals every 30 days, excuse me. But it depends on your credit. You don't want to like have like a high velocity if your credit score is on the lower end. Heck, even on like my higher credit score, I probably shouldn't have applied as much as I did. But the good thing on my sense is I was able to gap it more because I have what they call like a player two. So I have my fiance. So, and this is where you can get even more value, is where I applied for my first ink. I got my 900 or 750 to $900. And then I referred her. At the time, it gave me 200, or now it's $400. And then she gets 750 or $900. So in total, say we're at the 900 that we are right now, that was about $2,200 for $12,000 worth of spending between the two of us.
Wow.
If two people applied now, if you applied today, using a referral code, and you referred it to your significant other, once you got the card in, by the end of the 12,000 spending, you guys would have $2,200 in cash, more like $2,400 in cash, or up to almost 10 grand. What is it, like 9,600 or something?
So how do you get a referral code? Can anybody refer somebody else?
Yeah, as long as you have an ink card, whatever family you have, like ink. Yeah, so if you have an ink card, you can refer someone using that code. You just got to type in credit card Chase credit card referral. They'll pop up, the portal or something, and then you
Nice.
click on the inks, and then you just put in your last 4 digits of your card, your last name and zip code, and they'll populate a referral code.
Dude, this is super valuable, man. 22 grand on 12. I mean, that's almost 20%. That's awesome. Very cool. Let's talk about credit score, repairing it. I got a few questions here. But real quick, someone's asking about if you get a 12-month credit card at 0%, can you do another one after the 12 months? I see the word here, close it out. I know this one. You could definitely, you don't want to ever close a credit card. Like once you close, so because every time you have a credit card, let's say you get $2,000 credit limit, that's, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's like widening your max limit. The more, the bigger your limit, the better your credit score. Because then, if you spend 2 grand out of 2 grand, that's 100% utilization. But then when you have 10 grand limit overall, you only spend 2 grand, that's 20%. So you never want to close a card. I would keep it open. I know they close them after a while, but even if you fill up gas with the card from time to time, but I don't know what your thoughts on that is. Kind of doing the 0%, finishing it, and then can you open another one? How does that work?
So that's like your advice there is primarily with personal cards that are no annual fee, because the available credit actually matters.
Okay.
While for a business card, the available credit is not going to affect your personal credit because it doesn't show up on your personal credit. So to say what Tariq was saying in that sense, if you had a card with say like 20 grand limit and you canceled it, that 20 grand is just removed from your total credit. So if your total credit was 40 grand, now it's going to be 20 grand, which means if you make like a $10,000 spending, you're at 50% utilization instead of being at like 25% prior to closing the other. So you want all your cards there. You want to like really expand your available credit. This way, if you happen to have like large purchases, it's not going to weigh down your credit score so much. So that's why you should never cancel those cards. The only time I would recommend canceling personal cards is if there's an annual fee and that card is just not giving you any value, then just cancel it. But before canceling it, find out if there's an downgrade path. Oftentimes there's a card, so the Amex blue cash preferred card has a $95 annual fee. I could downgrade that to the blue cash everyday card, which is no annual fee. So this way your total balance is still there, but you're not paying the annual fee. So always go for the downgrade option before you even think about canceling.
Great
Unless
point.
there is no downgrade option, then cancel for that. In terms of, to answer Travis's question, there's a lot of Chase cards. I between my fiance and I, we have 12 inks. So, because you can get 2 cash, 2 unlimited, 2 preferred. But the only ones that 2 premieres that Tariq has, but I don't have any premieres. But the ink cash and ink unlimited are the ones with the 12 months no interest. I recommend waiting at least 2 years if you're going to cancel it, because after 2 years you'll be eligible for the sign up bonus again.
All right.
So,
let's talk about business credit. So are you saying that my business credit, so you're saying it doesn't go against, is there a business credit score? Do I have a business credit score that's separate from my personal credit score?
there is. I'm not sure how to access that. Never tried accessing it, but it's a completely separate score that you know, the business banks and stuff can utilize for your business credit. But in terms of you looking at it yourself, I don't know of a way to look at it.
So it's a separate thing. Gotcha. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Question here by Jessica. Do manufacturers accept credit cards at IAAPA?
Yes, they do.
They do.
Which leads me to my other.
Cash.
What was that?
I said, don't walk in with a duffel bag full of cash. Probably won't take it.
Yeah. No, they do. I know certain manufacturers will have processing fees, or I think Leisure does it the flip side. Kind of makes you feel better. If you use cash, they give you a discount. It's all the same. Whether it's a fee or discount, they kind of build it in. My thing with that is I personally still use a credit card. And here's why. Usually the fee is like what, 3% or something. Let me see if I can do the math there. Okay. All right. So especially if I'm going to get a sign-up bonus. If I had $10,000 cash and I was going to make a $10,000 purchase, rather than making that purchase me myself, I would be opening up the ink card, getting the $900. So if I spend $10,000 on the ink card, I'm going to get at least $1,000 back. Yes, I'm going to get charged $300 fee, but I'm still getting $1,000 back, or up to $4,000 in travel. So that processing fee is negligible. Now, say if there was no sign-up bonus and it was just a no APR credit card, let's say like I got the ink unlimited, but it was just no APR. I'm still getting 1.5% back on cash. So yes, I'm getting charged 3% fee, but I'm getting 1.5% back. So that is 1.5 right there. But since I can still have the no interest for 12 months, I would then transfer my 10,000 to a high yield savings account and get 4.5% and get $450. So I'm getting $450 from the savings account. I'm getting $150 from the credit card purchases. That's $600, and that negates the $300 fee. And on top of that, now I still have cash on hand in case I need it to capitalize on some kind of investment or something. So instead of tying it into a purchase at a $300 fee, I'm getting about $600 and I have the cash on hand. So to me, processing fee means nothing. The only time a processing fee means anything to me is if I'm using a cashback card. I'm not getting any interest rate on it, strictly cashback, and that cashback percentage is less than what the fee is, then sure, I'll use cash. It's a no-brainer over there. But if I'm using my Chase card, I know that my 1.5% on the unlimited, I can get in travel at least 6%. So I would still get more value through my traveling that I know I can do, using my credit card versus the processing fee. So I would never, me personally, I would never care about processing fee based on how I utilize my credit cards.
All right. So you mentioned 680 credit score. What if my credit score is lower than that? How can I build up my credit? What are some of the fastest, best ways to do that?
So the fastest way I would use is finding someone that I know, like, and trust that has good credit, that has a credit card that they've had for a long time, that has 100% on-time payment, fairly high available balance, and having them make me an authorized user, like whether it's Amex, Discover, something. What that does is most credit card companies, they'll take a photocopy of their history and duplicate it and put it into your credit score. So if I were to make you an authorized user of a card that I own that has like a $30,000 limit, and I've had it for like 10 years. It's full on-time payment. That will duplicate into your credit score. And so if you had a, say, $2,000 available balance, now your credit utilization will show that you have 32,000 available balance. And then if your history was only like a year, and I just gave you 10 years, that's going to like significantly boost your average credit history. And then if you had some missed payments, and your credit's fairly new, having a car that's like 10 years old with 100% on-time payments will increase that, like, I don't know, 70% on-time payment, bring it all the way up to 99%. So that would be the fastest way, but that's not always practical.
How fast is that? Does that take a couple months, a year?
It takes, by the time the first statement comes out, that'll reflect on your account.
So you're telling me I could jump up like 100 points in 1 month?
Depends on what's affecting your score.
Wow.
If you have derogatory marks and stuff, not necessarily, but if it's more so credit utilization and stuff, it could jump up a decent amount.
Okay.
I've seen people jump up like 60 points just like from that alone.
So everybody here heard him say, if you know somebody that you know, like, and trust. We all know, like, and trust Kevin. So if you guys need somebody to piggyback on, go ahead. Kevin put you as an authorized user.
I've done that for enough people.
Josh, yeah. So does
they
that
call
hurt
that
the
credit
person's
line.
score? If you have a low score, does it hurt the person that puts you as an authorized user?
No, that person doesn't even give you the credit card.
So it doesn't
Yeah,
hurt their score. It just helps your score.
Yeah, you just got to be careful. The reason why I say no, like, and trust is that because if they happen to screw up, then you're getting that hit.
Right.
You can get yourself removed.
What if I put somebody as an authorized user and they still have, like, do their derogatory marks hurt me because I added them on? No, okay.
No, it does nothing to you.
All right, so now you know what to tell the person you know, like, and trust. Like, Kevin told me it's not going to hurt your credit, so just put me on. Stop being a jerk.
Now, not every bank does it. You have to see which ones. I know Amex does, but there's that. The other would be like if you have a high credit utilization percentage, try and get that down. That's like the biggest thing that affects your credit score. If you drop like a 70% credit utilization down to below 10%, you're perfect. And I know there's a common misconception where a person thinks that they have to carry a balance in order for the banks to see that you're utilizing your credit. What it truly means is you carry a balance until the statement comes out. Once the statement comes out, you pay it off. Like you don't want to keep rolling over the balance and paying interest fee. So what I recommend is you use your card, you pay the balance down below 10%. So what I mean by that is if you have a $1,000 available credit and you just maxed it out, your closing date is October 23rd. So by October 21st, you have to make sure that balance is below 100, because once that closing date hits, that they take a snapshot of that 1,000 on 1,000, 100% credit utilization and put it in your credit score. But if you pay it down before that October 23rd, then it's just going to show a 10% utilization. So you're still showing activity while making sure your credit utilization is low.
Any other ways to bring up my credit other than relying on somebody else?
So, what was it? Yeah, so primarily it's to pay down the debt and really authorize user if you want it quick. Other than that, if on-time payments affecting it, then you just got to make more on-time payments. So what could help speed it up is if you're able to get approved for more credit cards, getting more credit cards could speed that up, because now instead of having one card show one on-time payment every month, now you have 2 cards, then you get 3 cards. And so that would kind of like increase the on-time payment, like bring your percentage up if you had some misses there. Those would be primary. Other than that, it's time. The longer you go, the longer you are away from that bad choices, and the more good choices you make, more recent good choices that were made, credit card companies will see that, and that'll boost your credit score. Just because 3 years ago you made a mistake, as long as you're not making mistakes now, I've seen people go from like 5 something to early low 700s, within 2-3 years. It just gotta be a little more diligent. But if you have bad credit, you got to work on it.
True or false? Everybody here should apply for a Chase credit card today, even if they don't need it, just to start building up their credit.
I would say true, unless you've opened up more than 5 personal credit cards in the last 2 years. But I do recommend, like I said, have a credit score that's like 680 plus would be nice. If you don't, then get either open up a bank account, or if your credit's not that good, I also recommend they have, if you have no credit and you're going to start, they have like the Chase Rise card, which is a good starter card. There's secured credit cards like Discover It Secured. It's like if you have no credit, you should get started now. And I would go for stuff like that to increase your chance of getting approved. If you don't have an authorized user, if someone can make you an authorized user, have them do that, and that can kind of boost you for when you start. But if you don't have that, go for a secured card like Discover It, which is nice because after I think 6 months, they'll bring you up to their normal unsecured credit card, or that Chase Rise, which I believe they recommend you open up a personal account with them before you get that. So that's what I would recommend for someone that is just trying to build their credit. No better time than now to build.
No better time than now, 100%. Tremendous value, Kevin. Man, this has been awesome. Do you want to talk about this one thing I talked about last time I did a similar webinar, was the payment processors?
Oh, that's right. After a certain amount of payments with, say, like PayPal, Square, they usually can offer you some sort of loan option. Tariq, did you do one with like PayPal?
I did one with PayPal, yeah. And just to be
How was
like,
your
what
experience?
we're talking about is when you, and this is why I like working with Inflatable, a company like Inflatable Office that allows you to choose your payment processor. There's some website providers where they do not allow you to choose your payment processor, but especially if you're starting out, you can use PayPal and Square and Stripe. Not only are those cool because they allow you to accept things like Apple Pay and Google Pay, which I think is a huge flex, but like Kevin was saying, after you use them for a while, I used PayPal when we started out, and all of a sudden I get an email from them like, hey, you want 20 grand and we'll give you 20 grand and you could pay us back from our fees from, the like every time you collect money from your customer. So if you rent out a $300 water slide, instead of you getting that $300, you might get like, I don't know, $250, $280, whatever. So I didn't even feel it coming out. So you asked about my experience. My experience with PayPal was really, really great. What I loved about them was, if I recall correctly, it wasn't even an interest rate. It was a flat fee. And I loved that because it was just, it was low enough to where it made sense. It was lower than most interest rates. And I paid it off pretty much early, and there was, it was great. And again, you don't really feel it. You just, actually, no, I didn't pay that one off early because they just took it out from each transaction. But we made enough that it paid itself off pretty quick. And that was a great option. I don't know if they checked my credit. I don't recall exactly what they did, but I thought that was very cool.
I know Christina was asking about payment process. I'm still using Global Payment. I don't want to use them. I shouldn't use them. I think it's not a bad idea to go with Square or even have PayPal as an option for that potential loan that they can give you, which can be a pretty good loan.
Yeah, I
because
mean,
you can only get that if they see transactions.
They see transactions. And if you have the space, and this is key, like you don't think about this when you're buying inventory, but if you have the space, garage, trailer, warehouse, whatever, and you're buying the right stuff, kind of like Kevin started talking about, and then like the video I mentioned, that's an opportunity to possibly make, if you don't buy the inventory now, it might take you 2-3 years to generate that 6 figures for your first 100,000, 200,000, because you can only do so much. It doesn't matter how good your website marketing, all that is dependent on the inventory that you have. Obviously, those are very important. We talk about those a ton, but the inventory, it does matter. So I I really think that you should really start setting yourself up for all of these. Start building up your credit, use Square, PayPal, use them all, because you never know. Like I wasn't even planning on using the PayPal thing. They messaged me, and I'm like, you know what? I have the space, screw it. I'm gonna buy some more combo. Like, why not? And that helped us make a ton of money. So that's kind of my thing on that. Like, set yourself up so that you have all of those as options, and they don't hurt you. And if you don't use them, then oh well.
Yeah, it's good to set yourself up. That's where, like, I don't have the option for PayPal or Square because I'm using global payment. So it's good to set those options. I know Travis was asking, do travel points ever expire? No, they do not. At least they shouldn't. Let me think. I know some co-branded, maybe if you don't utilize. I know Hilton. I have Hilton points, and if you don't earn some Hilton points, which I have a credit card that earns it, they might expire after a year. But in terms of like Chase points, Amex, and all that, they don't expire.
How long did it take you to get that 30 grand that you're talking? Still stuck on that 30 grand, that extra 30 grand?
A year.
A year. Holy, that's some people's salary, man.
But that's between my fiance and I. 2-player setup.
2-player setup. I love that, man. 2-player setup. That's a great, it's a great way to put it. And does she do anything in the business, or is she just helping you out?
Does what?
Does
with
she
the credit
work in the
cards?
business?
Yeah,
Does-
she's the co-owner of our bounce house business. But in terms of credit card, I just do it for her because she gets confused with it, but because she doesn't want to, she just wants to reap the benefits. I was telling Tariq before this, we have our honeymoon at the Maldives strictly on points. So she's like, thank you, credit cards. I'm confused, but this is allowing us to travel. So here's my card. Yeah, I mean, here's my social security. Just go ahead. Do your thing.
Love it. That's awesome. Doesn't matter if you're married or if you're engaged, or you guys
No,
are.
so the 2-player setup with the referral. The problem would be if you both co-own a business, like the business is in both your names, then you can't refer each other. But if you were to open it up with the sole proprietor social security number, like if I were to say me and Sherelle had a business was in both our names, it's not, but if it was in both our names, the only way I could refer her is if I was applying under only my social security number and she was referring me from under only her social security number. She couldn't refer me from our bounce house business if we both had our names on it. That would be frowned upon and you could get your account shut down.
So even though you're doing business accounts, you're still using personal, which is really cool. Like your social, like that sole proprietor, and then as long as they're not like an official partner. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Bounce Kingdom asked, doesn't matter how many business credit cards I open in a certain period of time. I think you answered that one. You said 5 in a 2-year period, right?
No, that was with the personal cards.
Oh, the personal, okay.
Yeah, that's with the to not get approved with Chase. You can't open more than 5 personal. So I've gone crazy with my business cards on the Chase side. You shouldn't. I kind of extended. I kind of was more aggressive than I should, but theoretically you could have unlimited. It's just a matter of velocity. Like you have, or I can't say unlimited. Depends on how many cards you have, but you can get duplicates of each of the business cards, one on your social, one on your LLC. It's velocity that they care more about. Like you don't want it so many in a year. Like my last card, they're probably like, dude, why do you have so many in a year? Don't do that. But if you open up one now and then you open up one with Amex, it's not a big deal. If you have a significant other that opens one up, then they don't even see that at all. So you could have 4 cards and it wouldn't affect really anybody. So I had put that Facebook post where, like, if I were to do it again, I would be opening up a Chase card right now, getting hopefully getting the 6,000, at least $6,000 limit, keeping that 6,000 available for when I go to IAAPA, and then by November, which I guess now it's November 17th, I would be applying for another one. And so then I would have, $1,800 worth of sign up bonus and $12,000 worth of spending to do. So if I was planning on spending at least $12,000 in the business, I would make sure I have 2 cards opened up by then.
So 30 days. So you're saying every 30 days with the same bank, but you're saying like Amex, you could open both, one for Chase today and one for Amex today, but then in 30
Yeah.
days apply for another 2.
Yeah, when I had said the 30-day thing, that was like a few weeks ago, so that would have been in time for IAAPA, the second one. And that was strictly on points. But if you can get a high enough available credit, then I wouldn't be applying for so many. I would just stick to one, ride that out, just so you can like spread out that 12 months no interest. Because then, you know, once you've paid that off, you can transfer all that available balance to the new Chase card. So if you had 6 grand on this, 6 grand on this, you can transfer at least 5,000 because you got to leave 1,000 on this other one. But now, you know, you can transfer 5,000 to the other, and now you have 11,000 to spend. And then the next time you can put another. Yeah, like it just your available credit just expands more and more. The more paid off inks you have, that way you can utilize 12 months no interest even longer. I kind of wiped out all my chances, but I'm fine with that. But other people, if I were you, I would kind of spread it out. You only need enough points to travel that one time a year. You don't need to create such a war chest like I did.
Well, thank you for making all those mistakes so we don't have to, man. I'm going to
You're
share
welcome. You're welcome.
I'm going to share 2 screenshots here with you guys. So you guys can screenshot this for later. So this is Kevin. You guys, that awesome pic right there. So Kevin can be reached on Messenger if you guys have any additional questions. So screenshot this so you can spell his name, find him. You'll find him in the Party Rental Bosses group. You can reach out to me. I can send him the info. So we'll do that. Be sure to ask him for a picture of him flexing. So screenshot this. And then if you're interested in this one, marketing services from Event Hawk, or to learn how to market all those inflatables that you bought, go ahead and screenshot this screen here for how to get a one-on-one consultation with us. We could talk about optimizing your website, web design, marketing, Event Hawk, software, all that good stuff. Kevin, you've been with us for a little while. I don't know, was it since you started?
Yeah, it was last year.
Yeah, so if you guys are interested in learning more about what we do, you can screenshot this, and then Kevin's information is here. So you guys got those 2 screenshots. I'll keep them up.
I'm in all the groups. If you happen to want to apply for any of the Chase cards, really any credit cards, let me know. I can send you a referral link. Sometimes people think they have a better chance of getting approved for a card if they go in the bank or if they apply through like offers online. That's not true. You can use someone's referral code and you have equal opportunity on getting approved. The only time I would recommend using the bank is sometimes in the very beginning of a new promotion. The banks will have a better offer, but that usually within a week, the referral code is the same after that. And if you are applying for Chase, it's really no difference for referral codes. If you're applying for any Amex cards, any of those other credit cards outside of Chase, still reach out to me. I'll send you my referral code. If I deem, and you just tell me what it says, because if it's not what I know is the best at that time, I will try and find you who does have the best. The reason why I say that is when I applied for, say, my Amex Business Gold card, most of the referral offers that were out were spend something amount, get 90,000 points. Well, I found a unicorn offer, so happened to come from my fiance, where it was spend a certain amount and get 190,000 points. So not every offer is the same. And because companies like that, you can only get a sign-up bonus once in a lifetime with Amex. You want to try to get the most amount of points from when you do, acquire those cards. But with Chase, my referral code will give you the best.
All right. So if anybody wants a referral code, then reach out to Kevin. Definitely get that. Help him out, and he'll help you guys out. That's awesome.
And ask me all the questions you want. Anytime anyone, even if you don't use my referral, if you use like a family member or something, ask me the questions, because I want you to feel comfortable using a credit with your credit card choices. I want to make sure that you're educated regarding the credit card, because I know there's a lot of stigma regarding credit cards. And to me, I get why they're there, because a credit card is very dangerous. You know, you can end up getting a ton of debt. I've done that myself. You know, when I was a broke full-time college student working, making minimum wage at Walmart, I accumulated well over 30 grand just in personal credit card debt. Terrible choices. They were just on liabilities. I was just getting gifts for everybody. But the reason why that happened was because anyone that I ever asked about credit, my family, parents, and all that, they said, just stay away from it. Credit's bad. I got curious. I got approved for a lot. So, you know, I was buying new TVs, buying this and all that. When had they just educated me from the get-go, I would not have made those mistakes. I would have been utilizing credit card like a tool, like I do right now, because you see what I just told you. I get all that money. I could have paid it in cash, but I chose to use my credit card because it's providing me all the values. And there's so much more values on top of it, not even just cash, it's even just regular benefits and status and all that, that I could spend all day talking about. So just feel free to send me a message, and you know, I will happily educate you if you are on the fence on applying for a credit card. Do it
Awesome.
now before I get too busy.
Or you well, Kevin, thank you very much, man. This has been really awesome. I know I learned a ton. If you guys learned a lot, give Kevin a shout out in the comments, let him know, and reach
You're
out
welcome.
to my Facebook. Travis says, thank you, fellas. Good stuff. Jessica says, thank you. You guys are welcome. Adrian says, thanks, Kevin. Glad that you guys found value in this. And yeah, I mean, I found tons of value. We'll definitely, if you guys are going to stop by at IAAPA, you might be running into Kevin. Definitely stop by at our booth. We'd love to meet you guys. And if you guys have any other questions, reach out to myself or Kevin. We'd love to help you guys out from there.
I'm not as jacked as Tariq says. Don't let him tell you.
Oh, you'll see for you. We'll try not to stand next to each other so he doesn't make me look bad.
I'll take a
All right,
picture.
Kevin, anything else you'd like to share before you wrap up here? Any final questions?
No, I think I am good.
All right, guys. Well, thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Again, thanks, Kevin. This has been really, really awesome. Enjoy the rest of your night, guys, and we hope to see you guys at IAAPA.
Thank you. See you guys.
Have a good night.